Okay. All right, stand by.
Until my turn.
Okay. Silence, everybody. Let's see. Here we go. Kathy, you go.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There's the answer code.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
All right. Hello, guys and girls out there. Today is September 29th. Welcome to everybody. I hope you've had a good week. I think we got a great show here tonight for you. We're going to talk about stealth antennas tonight, and also we're going to talk about some more kits that Joe's bringing us. Just a couple announcements about the show. Next week, Riley Hollingsworth will be with us. He's been traveling some and unable to make it, so he has been out a little bit, but he's going to be back with us October the 6th, and he has a list of questions that people have sent in. He'll try to answer those. If you've got questions for Riley, send them to askriley@w5kub.com, and we'll get those questions to Riley, or he'll pull them up direct there. Also, you'll be able to call in by telephone or chat room next week and talk with Riley. Emmett was reporting some internet problems tonight. He's having a storm at his location, but so far it's hanging in and he's looking good, so hopefully we'll have a good segment on antennas. Help us spread the word. Please, everybody, join our Facebook group. Facebook group is w5kub.com. Just do a search up there and help us to spread the word. That site will also give you a lot of information about the show and future shows, and we'll answer any questions that you might have. And it's also a ham radio hangout, so just post pictures there. And that reminds me, if anybody out there has pictures of their shack and they would like us to show them on the webcast, send us your pictures or post them on the w5kub.com Facebook group. Give us a description, and we'll put those on the show next week. So we got our regulars on tonight. We got Joe, K0NEB, and we got Emmett, W0QH on here. And we're going to start off with Joe, and we're going to talk some more kits. Joe's got another neat kit that we want to look at. So I'm going to say hello, Joe, and how you doing?
All right, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you got? How's things out in Nebraska?
Well, it's pretty good. It's been very rainy, just like down there in St. Louis area, so and Memphis as well. We've had several inches of rain, about 3 inches or so in the last week. So we're feeling it here, but it's good for the farmers and until harvest time, of course, which is pretty shortly. So we have a couple of kits here I'm going to show you that come from the 4-state QRP group, and then I'm going to show you a tool that I was writing about. And the tuner kit that you'll see and the tool I am writing up for the December edition of CQ Magazine. So you'll get to see kind of a preview of what's going into my December column for CQ Magazine. As you know, we're kind of ahead of the printing schedule a bit. So you'll get kind of a 2 or 3 month preview tonight.
Okay, well, let's go right ahead, man. I'm anxiously waiting to see what you got, Joe.
Okay, the first kit we're going to show you here, and we'll see if there we go. I'll get it the right way. And it says 40 meter LPF, which is low pass filter 4S QRP. And it's basically a black box that's got a BNC connector on each end. And it doesn't matter which way it's connected. It is designed for QRP. However, I'm told it'll handle up to about 50 watts of RF as long as the load is reasonably tuned. So as long as the SWR is pretty reasonable, this box will work great as a 40 meter low pass filter. And say, well, why would you need this? That's because a lot of these kits, like this one here, the little Pixie kit that I showed a couple weeks ago, have very little filtering on the output. And so to make it legal, it's good to have a bandpass or a low pass filter so you're not radiating a lot of harmonics. So this kit kind of fits the bill for that. It uses kind of a unique construction. The case is the circuit board material. The same material comes in one kind of a sheet, and you just kind of crack the pieces off because they are pre-cut and pre-scored so they come apart. And then you use little dabs of solder in the corners, and you put this thing together, and it makes a very strong double shielded box. Now let me show you a picture. If we do this right, we're going to be able to share our screen. And let's see here. So we have the screen shared. And I'm going to pull up this. There you bet. We're in Lincoln, Nebraska. We better have that on our screen. Now, can you see the picture here? And what you're looking at is the insides of this kit. And you'll see there's not a lot of parts. There's a few high voltage type capacitors. And then where it says 1.25 L1, you see I'm kind of running the mouse around it. That's because you see kind of a spiral, and you'll see another one for L2 over here in the back. And what that is instead of having a toroid that you wind around a core, it's a spiral round coil on the board. So it's already part of the circuit board. You don't have to wind it. You just solder the capacitors to it. And the vertical parts of this are also soldered kind of at special squares on the corners so that they then become grounded to each other and to the main chassis, and then makes kind of an integrated double shielded filter, which is pretty amazing for coils that are printed on the circuit board. And then you can see the two connectors here and here are soldered pretty firmly to the board. And then with screws and standoffs, we make the completed case that you saw. So let me switch back. I'm trying to think, how do I switch back to the, or can you switch back to the camera?
Well, I could probably do that. Joe, let's see. How's that right there?
Okay.
I did it.
Okay, so like I said, now I'll show you kind of a close-up of the seam. They kind of have notches in it so that it goes together a lot better than the original cases we used to use in 4-state. And it has notches, and it makes, like I said, for a really solid, grounded, double-shielded case, something that you won't even get from an aluminum box. And pretty heavy-duty, pretty nifty little filter. So this is great for QRP kits and so forth. Now, this next one is not out yet, so we're kind of jumping the gun here a bit, and hopefully I won't get yelled at by the 4-state people. So
is this a secret? I mean...
No, it shouldn't be, because it has been pretty well openly discussed at OzarkCon that this would be coming out this fall. What this is we'll take a look at the back of it first. You see there's two connectors, and on the top they're marked transceiver and antenna, and then you'll see two banana jacks, which are actually also binding posts. Those are so you can hook up a random wire and a ground, or any other kind of a wire antenna to it, and tune that. Otherwise, if it's coax fed, it goes right to the two BNC connectors. Now, what's cool about this is this kit has two LEDs on the top. And say, well, what's that for? Forward and reverse power. That's the SWR bridge. And when you put RF through it, the green one lights up if there's forward, The red one lights up if there's reverse power, which is standing wave or reflected power. So once this thing's tuned up, you should see the green light and very little of the red. Now, if you're running about 5 watts, the red light will never really completely go out, but it'll be a lot dimmer when it's tuned correctly. Also, if it's shorted or dead open, nothing connected to the antenna terminal, the green light will go out, which is kind of fascinating. So it tells you if you have an open circuit. Now, most of these QRP radios, like this one, like I was showing earlier, have no SWR protection. There's none at all. So when you put this thing in the in mode, it's in the tune-up mode, and you'll see the switch there. If it's in the in mode, it's in tune mode. And what it does is it puts the RF signal, which can be up to about 5 watts, across a group of resistors that form kind of a Wheatstone bridge. And so it looks for 50 ohms impedance. So it's kind of a fascinating little deal. The SWR that it presents to the radio will never, ever be higher than 2 to 1 when it's in that tune mode. So you can make the adjustments of the inductor and the 2 capacitors in the tuner circuit without damaging the little radio while you're transmitting and tuning up the antenna. Once you get that red light dipped, your SWR is low enough, you can flip it to the out position and you're now on the air. Really fascinating little kit. Let's take a look inside it. And last weekend was when I got a chance to build this. So let's see here. That's not it. There we go. There we go.
All right.
All right. What we're looking at, I don't know if you can see the mouse make its move, but this round donut here, this toroid, is actually hooked at 12 different positions on this 12-position rotary switch. So what that does is it allows you to select a greater amount of inductance as you go along. And it's only connected at 2 positions. So once the switch assembly and toroid is done, there's only 2 connections that need to be made to the actual board itself. Now, if you look at the board itself, you're going to see just pads where most of these things go. The parts do not solder through the board except for the BNC connectors. Everything solders to pads on the board. Now, the neat part about that is if you're a beginning kit builder and you put a part in wrong or something, it's really a bear to desolder the part and get it out without damaging a board, especially if you're not really experienced. Well, with this, it's pretty easy. All you do is you put your soldering tip on there, remelt that little blob on the pad, and take the tip and lift up that leg. And it comes right off, and it actually leaves some solder on that pad, so when you get the right part there, it's ready to go. You just heat it up, put the leg down, trim it up, and you're all set. There are 2 transistors here. That is part of the bridge circuit that runs the 2 LEDs. See a few diodes and so forth, and the tuning switch over here. Of course, the red and the green LED are up there. There are the 2 BNC connectors. Now, the plugs over here, the wire plugs actually go across the input antenna BNC connector, so it makes that pretty easy. These tuning capacitors are the same kind of capacitors you'd find in an AM/FM radio. Pretty simple, pretty easy to put down on there, real straightforward and easy to put together. Even if you're a first-time kit builder, I think you would have no trouble at all putting this kit together. Now, if you look at the case, you'll see these little solder dabs in the corners and in these strategic places along the board. No longer do you have to run a super hot iron and solder a rivet of solder all the way down it. All you have to do is fill these little squares that are next to each other, and it holds everything together really nicely and connects it to double shielding. And once again, you see the wire antenna terminals there, but not connected. So we're going to switch to another photo here, and I'm going to kind of do a little zoom in here if that helps. And you can see the kit board there, and I just used a little piece of RG174 to hook it to these 2 banana plugs. However, I was told when I when I sent the picture of that to the kit designer, said the shielded wire really isn't necessary. You can use just a 2 or 3 inch piece of regular hookup wire because it really doesn't make a lot of difference at that short a distance. But I put the shielded wire in anyways to try and shield the RF from the Wheatstone bridge. You can see over here, this is kind of a better view of the toroid. Now that looks kind of difficult. It really isn't, because on 9 out of the 12 turns, you have an extra turn in between each terminal. So you'll loop it through one of the holes on the switch, and then you'll just loop it around, and then you loop it around through the hole again. It goes pretty easy. And then the last 3, you just run it through the last 3 holes on the switch. This was done with enameled wire. The final production version of this kit will not have enameled wire. It will just be plain bus wire, uninsulated bus wire. So you have to make sure that they're spaced good enough so that they're not touching each other, but you won't have to scrape off any insulation, and it'll solder really nice and really fast to that rotary switch down below. I did use that kind of bus wire for the toggle switch up here just to see how it worked out, and it works out just fine. You can see here the standoffs are put in place and ready for the kit to be assembled. And this is a high-res photo of what it looks like when it's all completed. The inductor, as you see here, you can wire it either way so that L is the highest inductance and you go down to A, which is the lowest. In my case, I made it that A is the highest amount of inductance and goes down to L, which is the lowest. So if I'm on 80 meters, I'm probably going to have that in the A or B position, and then I'll tune the capacitors to get the SWR down. So that's the kit. Now you say, how did I put it together? Because I was reviewing another item. So if you can go back to the camera here, let's see. I was fortunate enough to be asked to review this tool, and I thought, how perfect, but to do a kit with this. This is a cordless soldering iron. Now, I bought one of these darn things in 1972 when I was in college, and it was called a wall isotip. And the light bulb in the bottom of the original one was a screw-in bulb. And the big problem with it was it would always come loose. So I'd be soldering and the bulb would be flickering in and out, or sometimes fall right out. So you'd have to kind of screw it in there, put a piece of tape on it to keep it turning, things like that. Well, they improved that since 1972, and it's a push and turn bulb. The switch has a locking position on it for safety. And the bottom is where it slides into a charging cradle. It takes it about 3.5 to 4 hours to charge, but I built this entire kit easily on one charge of this iron, including soldering the parts to the circuit board, which do require a little bit more heat. In fact, they tell me that if you leave the button down on this long enough, that tip will get up to 900 degrees. So that's more than enough heat to put together the circuit board cases. So I got to play with a tool that I first had in 1972, and I hadn't had one since the mid-'80s when it finally broke. The case broke from being traveled with too much, and I never got another one. And so when this came in the mail, I thought, wow, what a blast from the past. This is an isotip, and it's available at iso-tip.com. Once again, iso-tip.com. It's now made by a different company. Now, here's the cool thing about this. You can still get the parts of this kit, and you can still buy it, and it's made in this country. It's made in Wisconsin. Everything in here is made in the USA. So a totally American-made tool that started in the 1970s is still available in the United States and made in Wisconsin. So hats off to Isotip. They bought it from this other company, bought it from Wall. Wall spun off their soldering products. And they have several different versions of this, including one that'll charge in about 60 minutes, The batteries they use in these are not lithium ion because you cannot draw a super heavy current from those without causing a problem. Same thing with nickel metal hydride. So this uses conventional NiCad, nickel cadmium batteries, but they're pretty big in there and have quite a bit of capacity. Like I said, you can do well over 100 and some connections with this. It heats up from cold to melting solder and making good connections in about 5 to 8 seconds. So from the time I pick it up to the time I'm ready to solder, in fact, let me see if I can light it up. Here we go. And you can see the light come on it. It is an incandescent bulb. There's a reason for that because if you put an LED that close to a tip, you'd have a problem because it's 900 degrees. So it is a conventional glass incandescent bulb.
Well, Joe, I had one of those when in about 1970 also, and I really used that thing a lot. I think it finally went out on me, and I didn't replace the parts. But you're about to talk me into getting another one.
Yeah, it's really pretty good, and this one's about $50, and you can order it direct from the company, or there's several different hardware stores and other online merchants like Amazon and so on that you can get it. It has a nice lock position on the button, so it doesn't go off. So, like if I put it in my carry-on bag to fly with me, I could take this with me and or check it through on the airlines. It's okay. Now your gas-powered soldering irons, you can't do that. I cannot take my little butane irons with me when I fly. So this you can. And so I thought that was pretty slick that they still make this same tool, but they've improved it. Like I said, it has a charging cradle and it charges pretty quick. In fact, a lot quicker than the old one. The old one used to take back in the 70s about 8 to 10 hours to charge from a tiny wall wart. This thing's sitting in the cradle, like I said, about 3 or 4 hours, only if it's totally depleted. If it's like half down like this one is, only an hour or so and it's ready to go.
Yeah, hey, Joe, you might mention to them too that they probably should not try a PL259 with that.
Oh, no, you see, that's where you're wrong. Actually, this produces enough heat that I can at least solder the tip on it quite well. And the outer part of it, I can do it if I put some flux on the braid. It makes it flow better. And it, like I said, it produces about 900 degrees of heat, but it will not sink the heat quite as well as a heavier iron when you're doing stuff like that. But this is great for like quick repairs and stuff. You want to fix an antenna outside or something like that, or like what I do if I'm doing a group kit building experience with a club. I can walk around the table with this, so I can help correct people's problems with my own iron in my hand. So this has been a lot of fun to play with, and I'm hoping they don't make me send it back.
All right. Hey, will it last a little longer if you take the bulb out?
You know, I have no idea. I don't know if the bulb is part of the circuit. By the way, we almost got visited by one of the two cats here.
Okay.
He was curious, but he decided not to come visit.
Well, that's cool, Joe.
All right, now I'll be in chat while Emmett is showing his antennas, and Emmett has some wonderful antennas. I'm trying to get him to put one together for me to replace my G5 RV before winter time, and for multiband. And Emmett's going to have a lot of good stuff coming up. So, Tom, we're going to hand it back to you, and then I'm going to pop my window back open and come into chat, but I'll get off of Skype, all right?
Okay, Joe, really appreciate it. Man, it's been some good comments in the chat room there about your discussion there. A lot of people are really interested in these things, so I think we've got a good segment here, and we'll see you back in a week or two, and hopefully you'll have some more for us. Also, Joe is going to be our Hamfest reporter. Joe goes to so many Hamfests and takes so many pictures that we're going to get updates on just about every Hamfest in the United States. I think Joe skips maybe 1 or 2 out of all of them in the U.S., don't you, Joe?
Well, yeah, and actually next weekend I'm going to one in West Liberty, Iowa. It's kind of a small one. It's just 15 miles east of Iowa City, so it attracts a lot of eastern Iowa. And it's mostly an outdoor flea market and a small inside exhibit area. And it's always cold and damp and rainy. So, and so far the weather forecast looks like 40s in the morning and showers. So it's not going to disappoint in terms of the weather this year.
All right, Joe. We'll take some pictures next weekend.
I sure will.
And we'll
with that new camera of yours.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah. So Joe's going to get in the chat room and answer questions. He'll probably tell you guys again maybe the cost. I may have missed the cost or whatever. But Joe, you can tell them in the chat room and how to find that thing and get it. And next we're going to go over to Emmett. W0QF. Emmett is the chief engineer of Radio Waves, and we're going to talk tonight about some specific antennas, particularly stealth, shortened antennas, limited space antennas, homeowners associations. There's some really tough homeowner associations that restrict antennas, and Emmett's going to show us how to do it. And believe me, you'll make good contacts. Just follow Emmett's advice here. So over to you, Emmett. How you doing here?
Oh, pretty good. Thanks a lot for having me on again this evening, Tom. And Joe, as always, it's great seeing you. You've always got a plethora of information that you're quite, how do I say it? You share so well, and I appreciate it, especially with the kits. The kits at times seems to be a dying thing, and it's people like you that spark the interest in making kits, which I really appreciate. And by the way, that QRP radio with that low pass filter, excellent idea. The especially the little tuner unit, that's a really neat thing. Oh, I thought Tom was still talking to me there for a second.
No, well, actually, no. I'm trying to get some lower thirds for you. Go ahead, take it, man. You got it.
Well, anyway, tonight one of the things that we were going to talk about in this little segment was homeowners associations, difficult installations. You can't always get what you want, so what we're going to have to do is come up with something that will at least get us on the air. And in many cases, we're talking about people who live in apartments, people who live in houses that they have homeowners associations that won't allow you to set up that big antenna that you see on all the magazines, but you really have to be stealthy about it. Or you just have a wife or a husband or boyfriend or girlfriend who doesn't want you, into their mind, cluttering up the backyard, the front yard, or whatever part of the house with your equipment. And so now what we have to do is start thinking outside of the box. It's not going to be the perfect installation, but what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and tweak that installation to best meet our needs. And understand that you're not going to be able to outperform the 1500 watt flamethrowers with log periodic beams, but you're at least going to be able to get on the air and enjoy the hobby. You're going to be able to listen. Shortwave listening still is a thing that a lot of people are interested in. I still find myself listening to shortwave, especially when I go out of the country. I will generally be listening to shortwave broadcast stations, mainly because I get to hear a perspective of what's going on in the world that I would not normally hear through our normal media. And in my mind, shortwave listening and that is not dead at all in the slightest. But anyway, the one thing we're going to start touching base on is we do have some resources with on our website. It's Radio Waves at www.radiowaves. That's RADIOWAVZ. That's VictorZebra.com. And I'm going to take us over to that site real quick, and I want to show you a couple things. And what it is if you go to the main site, you'll see the radio waves, you see the astronaut. Go over to antenna data and information. Now, we put this up here because I find it's free, it's simple, it's inexpensive, and inexpensive in the sense that all you got to do is download it. And in my case, I've got it on my PDA and everything. Go down here to this bottom section where it says Antenna Systems, Downloads. Download this manual. It's called Antennas and Propagation. And then you also have another one. it's a PDF, and it's the U.S. Army Antenna Systems Manual. And then for those those of you who like lots of pictures and don't necessarily like the Army, I've got the Marine Corps manual as well. The reason why I suggest this is sometimes you'll find out that while you're thumbing through these guides and manuals and stuff like that, they will have some solutions that you never thought of having, especially if you're in a limited space. They give you some pretty good descriptions on how things work as far as HF communications and so on are concerned. I'll go ahead and back out of that. Where'd we go? There we go. I'm out of that. There we go. Then you've got the Army antenna systems, which gives you some really cool ideas on the different types of antenna systems that you can, do that the Army suggests using. There's a whole section in this manual on. Let me see if I can find it here for you real quick on improvised antenna systems and so on. So it gives you some ideas and hints and, how to set up a counterpoised ground system. And in some cases, you can't always set things up exactly the way you want to have them set up. But guess what? I've got a friend of mine who lives in St. Charles, and he always goes down to the Lake of the Ozarks, and he communicates just about any time he goes down there. He communicates off of his porch with a simple wire antenna, and he communicates around the world. Now, the other product that I suggest you download, and here it is on the screen, and that's the radio waves. Sorry about that. It's the radio waves. It's a slide rule that I designed a while back ago for calculating antenna length. So what you basically do, you'll print this out, you'll laminate it, and you'll put the two pieces together, and you'll be able to figure out what the length of wire you need. Let's see if I have one sitting here on my desk.
All right, hey, Emmett, look right here. Look, I don't know if you can see what I'm holding up,
you did do it.
but
Okay.
there it is right there.
There you go.
This is off your site?
Yep. Something that I think everybody should have, especially if you're doing emergency services or whatever. You never know when you're going to need to figure out the what type of an antenna. Now this will work even up in the gigahertz area. That's the beauty of it. And then of course over on the other side, sorry about that, guys. On the other side, we've got another slider that I designed in cooperation with ICOM. You print this one out, and basically it's already got the antenna, the wire lengths already figured out for you. You just kind of slide over the band, and then it gives you both the normal foot and and metric. So little things that, especially if you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to spend a lot of you don't want to get into a lot of gadgets and stuff like that. So what you do is you spend some time, do a little research, and do some experimenting. And that's what's so neat about what Joe does is he's got all these neat little kits, and it's all about experimentation. Try different things out, see what works for you. Not everybody's situation is different. Just like you and I are different, everybody's situation is different. One other thing you can look at, I'm going to go back to. There we go. I'm back to me again. You get to see my smiley face. Of course, I'm sitting downstairs in the lab, so you don't get to see all the neat stuff. What we were going to do today, if everything was working the way it was supposed to be working, we didn't get hit with some weather. What we were going to do is we had one of our hex beams set up outside in our lab, not in the lab, but at the shop. And it was a 40-meter hex beam with a 30-meter element on it. Now we're talking a full-sized dipole-type antenna that, well, actually, it's a hex beam, but it's designed for 40 meters, and it's a full-sized 40-meter hex beam. And it's turning out to be quite a fun product and project. I'll give you an example of what we'll look at that after a bit. But a couple of things that people don't have. They have, let's see, I think it was it Kevin? Yeah, Kevin has a very large single-story house with one big roof. Good segue there, Kevin. I appreciate that. I want to show you a picture here. I'm going to bring that up, and we're going to switch back over to my screen again. And you can't always, like I said, you can't always show off what you've got. So what the idea is to hide it. And what literally this person has done is they literally inlaid the dipole antenna on the upper part of the ridge where the vent is in the roof of the house. We have one person in Florida that they had some very severe weather, and they literally had to replace their roof, as in the shingles and stuff like that. And while they were installing the shingles, what we did is we had them go ahead and literally cut a small groove into the wood, as in the roofing, and they inlaid one of our off-center fed dipole antennas in the roof, so that literally the let me see if I can find that picture for you. The roof itself. There we go. The roof itself, one side of the antenna went on one side of the roof, and the other side of the antenna went to the other side of the roof, and it literally was underneath the shingles, so no one ever saw it, and he was able to have all kinds of fun with it. The thing is you're only limited by you're only limited by your imagination. The idea now is to understand what are the rules. In the military, one of the things that we had to deal with all the time is, and as a matter of fact, is one of the things you could get in a lot of trouble for, and it was kind of a catch-all phrase. It's called situational awareness. In other words, what we want to do is we want to be as low impact as possible. Don't let everybody know this is what we're doing, because we don't need to have Martha down the street calling us up at 3 o'clock in the morning because she's having problems with her TV, and it turns out that it's actually her, the way she's got it set up. And this is a picture of me doing some work at a radio station. We were redoing the ground planes. That's my son who's now in Korea in a bucket, and that's a 230-foot tower. And interesting thing, when we were doing some work off and on with the tower, what we did is we would use the one tower that wasn't being used. We'd go ahead and connect it to our radio, and it was great. A 250-foot vertical tower. So we had fun on 80 meters, needless to say. Another idea that people can start thinking about is putting your antenna in the attic. As you can see right here, what this person has done is they put in a fan dipole where you've got multiple elements coming out for multiple bands, and he's strung it right off the rafters. It's not that hard. You can use that, especially now this time of the year. You can see these staples up towards the top of up towards the top where the rafters are. Those are those Christmas staples that you use for putting up your Christmas tree lights. One of the products that we like to use, that we've done a lot of work with for people, is our Saturn antenna, which I'll show you a picture of it real quick. The Saturn antenna is a multi-band dipole, has multiple resonant antennas on the for whatever band you're working on, and they will literally string that inside their attics.
So Emmett, let me ask you a question. The fan dipole in the attic that's strung out there, I have seen RF actually arc from antennas to tree stumps and tree trunks and so forth. What's the chance of that in the attic, and how dangerous is it and what kind of power levels would you not exceed in an attic like that?
My suggestion is don't go over 100 watts. Understand, you're in a restricted space. A lot of the times, the reason why you see arcs on antennas, it's because of there's probably a lot of salt in the air. We've got one person that's a real good friend of ours that lives down in Louisiana, and it's like 100% humidity, and anything over 100 watts starts to arc. And in many cases, another reasons why sometimes things arc is the wires themselves are not insulated, and in this case, the wires are insulated. The trick will be is not to put any physical wire, as in the bare wire, up against wood or anything else like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can physically or mechanically attach it sturdy inside the attic with a good space, 10 inches, 12 inches away, where it can't move, I don't think you'd have really any danger there.
Oh, not at all. As a matter of fact, here, let me give you another picture. Yeah, that's kind of Nah, it's an older picture. But what basically you can do is suspend the antenna from the roof, from the attic or whatever. And if you run into a situation where you can't use all the elements can't physically fit in the space that you have, you can dogleg them. And when you're using insulated wire, you stand less a chance of having things like the shocks, as in the arcing and so on, especially if it's inside. I'm going to go to another antenna design here in a second here. Sorry about that. One of the other products that is really good, especially if you're an apartment dweller or you just really can't set things up the way you want to have set up, you can always go to something like what we call our Pathfinder, or basically what it is, it's a loading coil on a base with a 102-inch whip. And what you do to tune the antenna is you slide up and down the let's see, here we go, just a second, bringing the picture up a little bit closer. You can slide this component, there we go. You can slide the tuning ring up and down. It's like a screwdriver antenna, but it's all manual. So all you're doing is you're just bringing the antenna to resonance. Now the nice thing about this is you can almost take these anywhere. It's just a coil. Let me see if I'll zoom in one more time for that. Let me show you a couple pictures. One of the things that I do every year around the 4th of July is I go on top of Mount Monadnock. And I like to set up an HF radio, and I like to go and see where I can talk. And this year I wasn't able to make it, but next year I hope to make it. And this is up on top of Mount Monadnock. It's the top of the mountain is right up here, but we're in one of the lower areas where there isn't people all around. And literally we're able to set it up and communicate. The nice thing about that is you can take this to your cottage out in the woods. You can take this out on the back of your porch in your apartment. You can tune it to the frequency you want, and you can just have a ball talking to people.
So do you lay radials under that?
Well, yeah, you can. One of the things that you can do, let me go and zoom in a little bit. There we go. Is you can bring in at the base, you can attach radials, which make the antenna a lot more efficient. So the more radials you have, or in some cases, what people do is this will be attached to the railing, the steel railing or whatever on your apartment complex, and that's your ground plane, which is really kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, this is a good solution for just about anywhere you want to go. This is my son-in-law. Anyway, and as you can see, we backpacked up there with a nice little ICOM radio that we took with us. It wasn't QRP, and that was kind of fun too, is being able to go all the way out there. Another example of what you can do with an antenna like this is you can put it on like a splitter. Here, I'll bring it here, okay? And now it can be a rotatable or a tunable dipole. What this type of antenna system gives you is the option of not having to set a lot of wire out there. You can take it, it's portable, it's light, it doesn't cost a lot, and you can have a lot of fun with it. You can pretty much do what you want to do with it. Let me see if I got back out of this one. Now we're back into other options that we've got for people who want to be able to work in other places. I've got a friend of mine who literally strung his off-center fed antenna on his deck, or not really on his deck, but on his wooden fence, and it's literally right below the bottom of the fence, and he runs it the entire length of his backyard. And it's only 6 to 8 feet off the ground. No one knows he's got that antenna there. And because he's using a resonant antenna, it doesn't cause a lot of the problems that a non-resonant antenna would provide you. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me close that out real quick. Sorry about that. There we go. The other, anyway, we saw that let me see if I can find this other product here. Another product that has been becoming quite popular are the in-fed type antennas, or a multi-band in-fed antenna. And one of the products that we have is what we call our Pathfinder. The wires aren't that big. The wire is about 60 feet long, and you can put. Let me see if I can find that. I'm trying to find that picture for you real quick. You can put a there you go. You can put a smaller wire on the antenna itself, so it's not as conspicuous. One of the things that we really like about the Pathfinder is it's low profile. The feed point is right at at the very end of the wire. It's only 60 feet, and it works quite well. It's not as efficient as a full-size antenna, but at least it allows you to work all different kinds of frequencies in a limited space, and not have to mess around with a lot of the little nuances of going through the expenses of trying to figure out buying a new house and ing someplace else because you can't operate your radio. Tom, did you have any questions real quick before I go into this next part?
Well, let's see. There were a couple questions. KA2 OFM asked a question. He has a brick house. He said, can he wrap a wire around the brick? And I would say you can do about anything you want to, right?
Well, as a matter of fact, you can. Let me go off center fed. One of the things you can do is that's not a good picture. It was one of our proof pictures. As long as you don't have a lot of metal in the background, one of the things we've run into in the past is people would run wire. And for instance, I noticed someone was talking about how they had stucco, and that's a great ground plane. The only problem is if you were to run wire right up against the stucco, sometimes it has a tendency of causing you a little bit more problems than you really wanted.
Well, I guess the stucco actually has like a wire mesh in it, doesn't it? That they put the stucco to. So
you have two different kinds of mesh in there, and that's what's really kind of interesting. One kind of mesh is a steel mesh. The other mesh is an aluminum. If you have the aluminum mesh, guess what? It works a lot more efficiently than the steel, because the steel has a tendency of absorbing RF, whereas the aluminum has a tendency of reflecting. Anyway, yeah, that running it around. Let me see if I have that other picture here. There you go. This is one situation where someone had put a, those 5 BTV type HF antennas made by Hustler. Well, literally what they did is they put it alongside their chimney. Now, this works as long as the chimney components you don't have a ton of metal or anything like that in there, and you have vinyl siding. You're able to make it work. The other thing that we do is we strongly suggest that every antenna you've got, make sure you paint the thing, because it has a tendency of, it doesn't show up as easy. Remember, we're trying to be aware of our situation, and we're trying to make our antenna as well unseen as possible. Let me see. The other type, in-fed antennas, we've been talking about that. Any other questions? I have a stucco roof and a steel roof from KD5 PUR. Stucco and steel, interesting thing. If you can tap into the steel and the steel isn't grounded, you might be able to do something with that. I've got a couple people that we've worked with in the past where literally they've connected the one wire to one slab of steel, and the person connected to another wire to another slab of steel that weren't physically connected, and they were able to literally use that as an antenna. I'm trying to find my balance here real quick.
Yeah, Emmett, I've got probably 100 feet of tower and tri-band beams and everything stored in a barn at a friend's house for the last 12 years. Didn't put it up in this house. I've enjoyed the wire antennas. I've talked just about anywhere on my wire antennas. I talk with the tower or beam. And the thing is, I use this black covered wire. I use this small, this Kevlar, whatever it is, the rope to hold it. And I don't think any of my neighbors, it's been up 2 years, probably none of my neighbors have even seen it. In fact, when I go out in the backyard, I have to look up in the trees, and it's very hard for me to find it. I've got 40-meter delta loops up. I've got inverted V's for 4 or 5 bands. I've got vertical wire antennas. I've got all kinds of antennas out there, and they're almost invisible. Even
Right.
knowing they're there and going out and looking for them, I can't hardly find them.
I've got a friend of mine in California that he lives on a golf course, and they have they have the PGA golf tourney going through there all the time, and a lot of the pro golf tournaments going on, and they have it in HD, and now they've got it in 4K, and you can see his backyard.
Yeah. Hey, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. One of the jokes we've made is, our off-center fed antenna, one of the best antennas you've never seen on ESPN, because literally every time there's a tourney at that golf course, they've got all these really good close-up shots of his backyard and all that, and you can't see his antenna. And one of the reasons is he's using a smaller black wire. He also did something that was a little different, and I've started to do it myself, is he didn't paint the whole wire. He painted it with a little bit of a powder blue, a little bit of gray, and a little bit of white. And so what that did is it broke up the wire pattern. He had all the wire in a coil, and he sprayed it, and sprayed it the different colors, and then he strung it out, and you can't really see it. You don't know what to see. If you're not looking for it, you'll never see it.
All right. Well, when I was saying I can't see it, I was going to say, I can't see my antennas, but Kathy's sitting here and she waved at me and she said she can see them. She knows where they are.
Yeah,
but I tell you, I can't find them out there. They're pretty much invisible. And I've done the same thing that you're talking about, even on rope and different things, just camouflage it with spray paint and, different colors. And that works well. And I've even got a little, I put some PVC up, in a cross, where I put my little 6 meter loop up,
Yep.
Pulled it up about 40 feet under a tree limb, and I camouflaged that PVC with, brown and green and blue, and it blends into the trees pretty good. So there's a lot you can do.
It's amazing, especially when we start talking about the loop antennas, the things that you can do, and it's the basic components. Interesting thing, you don't need a lot to get started. Like I said, especially if you're in a restricted space, I don't have a picture of it, but where we live, we do live out in the country, but we have HOAs, and I can't have an antenna. But what we did do is we strung I've got a DX160 running north and south, and I have another DX160 running east and west, and it's literally up in the trees, hidden, painted, and colored. And the only way anyone ever knows that those antennas are there is if they're in my backyard and they look at a tree and they see the coax running down the tree. The one advantage of running the antenna in the trees was every year my antenna goes up a little bit higher because the trees grow.
Yeah.
And that's always fun. The other thing that we do is I bring the antenna down every 6 months or so for maintenance. And that is something that everyone really needs to take into consideration when they're doing, when they're putting out anything that has to do on the outside is spend some time on a regular basis checking out your system. Every time you've had major weather, go out and check your connections. Go out and check your coax, check your wires, make sure things are still connected. Like I said, we just had some weather come through and it knocked out our cable system for a short period of time. But guess what? I was able to make it, so here I am.
Yeah, and hey, one of the wires I really liked when I was in the military, and I still use it today, is field wire. You get the big spool of the telephone field wire. It's got a black jacket. It's 2-conductor, but each one of those conductors, I think the conductor has like 4 copper and maybe 3 steel in each side. And let me tell you, you can't break that wire. I mean, you get that thing hung up in a tree, you can tie a car on it, and you're not going to break that wire. You may pull the tree over.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a good wire. It's not a great radiator, but The nice thing about it is it's galvanized, so that means it lasts well. It's gray, and it's relatively inexpensive. KC2YPG Tony had a question about inserting wire inside of a PVC for a vertical antenna. It does have a little bit of an effect. It has the same effect as the thickness of your insulation on your wire. Is a little bit of a skin effect, but it will have a tendency of making the antenna look a little bit longer than the actual physical wire itself. But the thing is if you can get it in something like the PVC or whatever, and then cover it up with whatever you want, all the better for you. I have one antenna. I do have a 2-meter antenna on the roof of the house, and it is literally, it looks like one of my exhaust pipes for one of my, like an event exhaust pipe. It goes up about 3 or 4 feet, and the antenna is there, and it works great. No one knows that the antenna is there, and it is a vent pipe, but we hid it. We hid the antenna in the vent.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about putting the wire inside the pipe, especially at VHF and UHF. If you make some of these 300 ohm twin lead dual band antennas, you cut that and you get a perfect SWR on it, and you say, oh man, I got this thing perfect. You slide it in a piece of PVC pipe, let me tell you, it won't be perfect. It really changes. Yeah. It really changes the velocity factor. So I built a bunch of those antennas, but I would pull it out, I would trim it, I'd put it back in, and then I'd take it out. You have to do it multiple times, but you can do that. Hey, one thing I want to talk about is I think one of the best stealth overall antennas that you can operate just about anywhere would be to use some type auto antenna tuner out at the antenna. I don't like an antenna inside, especially if you feed it with coax. I don't want to do that. But I've got an antenna tuner outside, right at the antenna feed point, and you can tune any band you want to. And let me tell you, you were talking earlier, I think, about using small wire like number 26 or something. And you can string number 26 wire just about anywhere out there, put it to an auto antenna tuner. You got an all-band antenna there, and it's pretty effective. What do you think about that, Emmett?
Well, as a matter of fact, if you're going to use something like a tuner or a matching section of some kind, the closer to the wire it is, the better. Because what basically happens, if there's a mismatch, your coax and the elements going all the way up to that auto coupler or the tuner is, it becomes part of a radiating element. And interesting thing a lot of people run into with not so resonant antennas in, a very, in a very limited space is it creates RFI. And a lot of the problems we run into with and getting busted for, people knowing that we're doing what we're doing is we're putting out this RF energy that doesn't need to be put out. And so by putting something like an auto coupler closer at literally right where the wire antenna is the better solution. SGC makes a couple remote tuners. I know MFJ has one. LDG, they've got a new one out that works up to 200 watts. And in many cases for a limited space, you're not going to be running over 100 watts, especially if you're in an apartment. I had one customer who wanted to put this antenna up, and he literally taped it up in his window, which works fine. He's up in a 32 floor apartment. He's on the 30-something floor, and the thing was he wanted to run the wires right back to the tuner, and every time he did that, he kept setting off the fire alarm on his floor. So what he ended up doing is he put the coupler right there at the window with the wire, and the problem went away.
Yeah, and hey, I've got an antenna. Let me tell you about this one. Probably no one else has ever used this type of antenna. Have you ever had a 1980 El Camino antenna?
You mean you hooked it up to your El Camino?
Yeah, look, you got four air tires, nice insulators, And I didn't drive the El Camino much, but hey, I laid me a counterpose out there. I put that SG 230, clipped it to the bumper, ran the coax in the house, talked to a guy 2,000 miles away, and he told me, man, my mobile was coming in good. I said, you don't understand. I'm not running mobile. The mobile is the antenna.
Right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there are some boats that do something just like that, where the boat itself is becomes the radiator. One question by Tony, KC2YPG. Will a tuner eliminate RFI? Not always. RFI can be caused by a lot of different things, and sometimes it may not even be because of you. It could be just because there's something, how do I say it? Because there's just, there's a bad filter in their receiver or whatever. But an auto coupler will sometimes, make things work a little bit better. Now, if you have a way to, try and make your antenna resonant on any one frequency or a series of frequencies, you're better off. Anytime your antenna is resonant, it has a tendency of not having the kind of problems that you would have with a non-resonant antenna.
Yeah, and my antenna farm's out back, and when I moved to this house, I put me a hole through the wall down here and conduit underground back 130 feet. So you surely would not want to tune your coax cable if 130 feet of it's underground, would you? No,
you don't. As a matter of fact, there's a couple antenna designs that you heard, like the EH type antennas and so on, where everyone's talking about all these spectacular results. Well, the reality is the coax itself is actually part of the antenna, and it's part of the radiating system of the antenna itself. And based on the length of coax you have, the better the antenna gets. So, that's an example of why it's better to have things matched at the point of at the antenna versus waiting for you to get back into your shack and then get things tuned on.
Okay.
Tony, you're doing a good job asking questions, by the way.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is where was I with that? This is RFI and tuning and so on. It doesn't have to be complicated. Wire antennas are simple. A lot of the communication methodologies are quite simple. It just takes time to sit down and make it work. Spend time with it. Go slow. And when it works, leave it alone.
Hey, by the way, I sold that El Camino antenna for $2,000 a few years ago.
Yeah, and I bet you it's worth a lot more now.
Yeah.
One of the cars that my dad used to drive forever was an El Camino. What was really interesting about him was he wasn't one that gave up on a vehicle. So if the engine went out, he replaced the engine. If the tires went out, he replaced the tires. I think the only reason why he sold the El Camino was because all his engines required lead gas.
Uh-huh. I got rid of mine because it leaked too much oil.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, hey, Emmett, you got more tonight, or you about through your talk tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much there. It's been a good discussion tonight.
Yeah. Hey, let me do this real quick. I'm going to put a phone number up. Let's try a phone number tonight, and let's see if we can take one or two calls. And I promise people I will try not to blow their speaker out tonight with the telephone like we did last week. We were having some technical difficulty last week. Right. And so, hey, I just put a number up at the top. And let's see if we can get a call here. I want to see if I can take a call. We need to test our call-in system again. So the number is 901-729-9451. If you guys want to talk to Emmett and ask him a question about antennas and be on the show, we'd love to have you.
Also, if you would, go ahead and go to the site too and download the antenna manuals. Seriously, those are fantastic. I've got them on my iPad. I've got them on my just about even on my iPhone. I've got those manuals installed, and the reason being is I'm at the point now where I just use it as a reference, as in when I'm trying to explain something to you, I'll take you to the page, and then you go from there. They're good resources and they're free, and that's the best part.
All right. Well, let's see. I don't know if we're going to get any calls or not. Usually Jeff, was it N3VE? He usually calls in. Jeff, get on the phone. Call us.
Well, let's see. I'm looking at another one here. Anyway.
Teresa's talking about don't think aluminum will work for an antenna. Aluminum would be good.
That aluminum is about like copper. So if you don't have copper, you can always use aluminum as a good example. Another thing you can do, and if you have a lot of scrap wire, if you can go ahead and switch over to my other screen real quick where I've got the balun showed up.
Oh, the other screen? Okay.
Yeah. You only need a couple things, and that's the fun part about this. And what you're seeing here on the screen is like, for instance, one of our baluns. It's designed to match or at least get you into the ballpark where you want to be, so you can actually transmit and do things. A lot of times, if you're doing something like a loop, you'd look at something like a 1 to 4 type balun. If you're looking at an in-fed antenna, you'll look at something like a 1 to 9 long wire antenna, so you can just run the wire and use the balun to step the impedance down, so your autocoupler can do the work for it, do the rest of the work. There's a lot of little things that you can do that all you have to do is just think out of the box. Run the wire up in your roof, run it in your attic, run it in different places. Use the coils. Let me see if I got another one. Then, of course, if you got the time, go ahead and use one of these. Where'd it go?
Hang on a second. You're moving around. I mean, I'm trying to keep the pictures the same. Let's see. All right. What were you going to put a picture up?
There you go. And there, of course, that's one of our flagship antennas now. And that's our hex beam antenna, which is always fun to play with. It was really kind of funny when we started building them. Rochelle, who basically runs the show, started getting upset with me because once I started working with them, I always wanted to play with them because they're fun. They're good antennas.
Now that antenna is a nice antenna. I saw it at Dayton and I saw it at Huntsville, and that's basically a 2-element beam. Yep,
it's a simple Yagi.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an element for every band. So in this situation, you've got a 6 meter, you got 10 meters, 12, 15, 17, and 20. We also have a 40 meter full size 40 meter version, which is basically twice the size of a normal hex beam. It's about 40 feet, so that's 20 feet side to side. It's a fun antenna to work with. I just, ever since I started playing with them, it's hard to stop once you start.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, Teresa came back on. She's the one that asked about the aluminum. I think her question probably stemmed around. They tried to put a mag mount on it, and it didn't stick very good.
Won't work.
Yeah, it didn't. They put some steel on here for the mag mount, so that's the deal. It would probably work if the mag mount would just stay on the aluminum, right? I mean, as long as it was sitting on it, wouldn't it work?
No, because it needs the ferrous metal of your steel underneath. So we have that same problem with trucks.
Hi, my name is Mike
semi trucks. So you're gonna have to find something to attach the antenna mount to in order for it to work.
Yeah, let's see. I think we have a mic on here. Let me see where the. Okay, hey Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I am. I am a late arrival here, and I just don't know where this gentleman is from, what his company is, and I'd like to add a little more information about him, please.
Yeah, okay. That's Emmett Hohensee, W0QH. Emmett, tell him the name of your company.
I'm WA5ZTE.
DTE? Did you say you are WA5DTE?
I'm Whiskey Alpha 5, Zulu Tango Echo.
Okay. I've seen that call somewhere before, I think. Okay, we've got WA5ZTE on the phone, and he just tuned in late. And Emmett, tell them again your company and your website so they can come and look at all this information.
Sure. The company name is, if you want to go ahead and switch over to the screen again.
Okay.
There you go. I'll put it up. There you go. It's Radio Waves. That's RADIOWAVZ. That's VictorZebra.com. And when you go there, you can just basically go to the main page and you can select, find out about our products. You can go right to the, whatever areas you're interested in. Or if you want to contact us, just click on that. Antennas and information, that's always a good page to go to. I strongly suggest download those manuals, share it. It's free. That's the best part. When it comes to trying to figure out antenna lengths, use either the slide rule or the ICOM dipole slider calculator. Just go ahead and download it, and it will give you a good idea as to how much wire you need in order to make your antenna.
Yeah, I'll show this again. This is the slide rule that Emmett's talking about. You can take this right off his website. It's just paper, and you can put it together and you can turn it. And it'll actually, you pick the frequency there. I think it tells you the wavelength, and it also tells you the number of feet you need for the antenna there to get you started. So this is a pretty cool little thing that he's got on the website here.
We should probably do an episode of field and cool tools for the field. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be a good one. Well, maybe we'll talk more about those on another session here.
Yep.
So WA5ZTE. Any other questions?
Let's see. There's a John NN6JA. He has a double bazooka question. Can the thinner wires be used to tune shorten the antenna like a regular dipole? In some cases on the double bazooka itself, a lot of people, it's interesting. There really aren't any good computer models of how double bazooka works because of just the way it's designed. It's basically a loop folded inside of itself. Those wires on the side of the double bazooka are actually tuning stubs. And by shortening it, it changes the fundamental impedance of the antenna itself. So yes, in some cases it can change. It can basically bring the antenna into resonance, or you can raise and lower the legs to increase and decrease operational frequency. But in many cases, it's just a matter of just raising and lowering the legs to bring it in.
Okay, so I didn't know this, but you helped me identify somebody on here. NN6JA, John, we have the pleasure tonight to have the producer of the ABC TV show Last Man Standing.
Yep.
John Amadeo. John, NN6JA, is in the chat room, and he just asked a question. I've been trying to get him back on the show, but he's so busy. They work on Tuesday nights.
Yes, he is. As a matter of fact, I'm working on an antenna for him right now. And by the way, John, I am working on the project for you, just to let you know. It should be going out this week.
John, if you have a minute, call the phone number at the top of the screen, John. I want you on here. We will double your pay. And let me tell you, John took us out to Hollywood in October to webcast a special event out there, and we had a really good time on the Last Man Standing stage, and I got to meet Tim Allen out behind the building, and we convinced him to let us announce that he had got his license, so that was a really cool trip for us. So I don't know if John's going to call us or not. 901-729-9451. He may not even be seeing the video. He may be just seeing the chat room. So
okay.
If John can't call, that's okay, but we'd love to hear from you, John.
But anyway, yeah, well, what's really cool, and speaking of John and the show, the series Last Man Standing, I really enjoy the idea that every time I watch the show, that that set is a functional set, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. And a lot of times the stuff you hear in the background is real stuff that's going on.
The voicemail.
Or so.
All right. John, can you hear me?
Oh, hey. Hi, Tom. Yes, but I'm in the world's worst place for cellular telephone, which is my backyard.
Well, that's okay. I'm trying to get the level set here. Hey guys, say hello in the chat room. Say hello. We have John Amadeo, NN6JA, Hollywood TV producer.
Now I'm in the backyard, so I can.
He's in the backyard. How you doing, John?
My office would be just death, so I can't actually see the chat room.
So did you?
Thanks, Emmett, for my answer. I've got the 40-meter double bazooka, and I'm about to put it on the roof of the stage. But it's tough up there. I know the impedance is going to need to be adjusted, so I will try changing the angle of the antenna.
Okay. Well,
Over.
Yeah. John, did you work late tonight? Tuesday night's one of your work nights, isn't it?
Actually, we are finishing a hiatus week, so we start up again tomorrow morning to shoot show 7. So I got home a little bit earlier, was able to key into your broadcast tonight.
Okay. Well, we're still trying to get you on here one night. Last time you were on here, we brought you in with the virtual presence device. You remember that? I do remember that.
Yeah. A memorable experience.
Yeah.
Hey, John. Rochelle says hello, and she said that she sent out that 40-meter double bazooka last week. Did you get it?
I do have it, and I'm gonna. I almost put it up tonight, but
anyway, she just
ran into a
texted me. She's
complication.
watching the show.
I'm gonna do it this week
from another location.
Yeah, it's with all the air conditioning ducts and just the last 2 years, the studio skinned the entire roof of all the stages with solar cells, and it got a lot harder and more difficult to make an antenna work up there. So I'm looking forward to the double bazooka.
All right, now John, is that up on top? Is that up on top of the studio?
Yeah, I'm going to put I've got a bunch of fiberglass mats, and I'm going to put the double bazooka. I did read the instructions in the manual, and I'm going to try to get it up to at least. I like to put my 40-meter dipoles, no surprise, at least 32, 34 feet, and then I'll follow the ratio that you outlined in the instructions to bring the ends down. And we'll see how it does. And if the impedance is not good, I'll vary the offset angle from 90 and see where it goes from there.
Well, that's a nice metal roof you got up there too. I guess if you get just a little height above it, that might be a good reflector for you.
Yeah, we'll see. I also have a little, a lot of large industrial solar cells and industrial solar cell controllers, so those tend to be noisy, but we'll do the best we can. We like to be able to go on the radio at the stage, so see what happens.
Well, okay. Well, John, give us a call when you get time to come on here, and we'll make a whole segment out of it. And you can give us a report on how things are going.
Well, that's great. As soon as I get up and running, I will give you guys a call and we'll do a progress report. So back to you in the studio, guys.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, John, and 73 to you, and good luck with the show this year. We've been watching it every Friday. I was afraid Friday night he was going to get blown away in the tornado, man.
Well, in a couple of weeks, we have a very special episode where Jay Leno guest stars with Tim Allen and some classic cars. So you'll have to stay tuned for that one. That's going to be big.
I think I think you told me it was last Tuesday that you had Jay Leno there, and Jay Leno really bumped us. I was trying to get you on the show last Tuesday, but Jay Leno took priority.
Well, he is a bit of a priority. We shot it last Tuesday. It airs in about 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I think.
Okay, it'll be good. Yeah. Thanks, John. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Emmett, and say hi to Rochelle. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
I will do that. Thank you. She heard you, John.
All right.
Back to your show, guys. Thank you.
We'll see you, John. All right. Well, that was a nice surprise to have John Amadeo, the ABC TV producer of Last Man Standing, called into the show, and we'll try to get him on here. I tried my best to get him on last week, but somebody named Jay Leno it took priority, and he chose somebody named Jay Leno over me. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Emmett?
What were they thinking? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Last man tower needs a tower. Yeah, unfortunately, with a tower where they're at, it would require all kinds of approvals.
You, Emmett? Have you been out there to the studio?
No, but I've got lots of pictures of it. I've been trying to get out there, mainly because a lot of the antennas that are on his roof are our antennas, and I'd just like to go out there and help. Do what I can to make things work for him. But I really enjoy what John's been doing with for the hobby, and bringing awareness to ham radio as a whole, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. But anyway, the other thing what I might suggest is in the future start having people text or do a lot of either email you with questions or suggestions on things that we can cover in future episodes. And what I'll do is we'll put together several things, and we'll start putting together a little bit more. Let's just put more detail and more entertaining things. Just answering people's questions.
Yeah, I always ask for that. We just don't get a lot of feedback. I think hams are shy out there. They just don't.
Can you believe that they're shy?
Yeah, I mean, they talk to everybody in the world, but, to send a question into us, so you have to kind of beat it out of them out there. Oh, man. So, So, guys, I'm real happy with the show tonight. We actually had a larger crowd tonight than what we have had over the past a couple months. And I've made an effort to try to tweet information about the show. Maybe that's starting to pay off. And if everybody else out there can help us to tweet it or put it on Facebook, we really need your help to get the webcast going here. And Emmett here is going to be a regular. He's a regular, and man, we're going to talk antennas every couple weeks and anything else. Emmett had some things planned tonight where we're going to actually try to make some contacts, but I think it's storming there.
Yeah, we had weather that stopped us from doing it.
All right, well, Emmett, anything else you got going there?
No, that's about it. Thanks a lot for having me on. I look forward to seeing you again in about 2 weeks. Okay, well, I'll say 73 to you. Thank you. If we get any questions in, we'll save them for you for the next time you're on the show. Excellent. All right, looking forward to it. Good seeing you, John. Thanks a lot, Don, for being on. By the way, Don from AE5DW. I saw Don in here tonight. Yep. You saw him there. Just give him some shout out there. So, yeah. And always good speaking with Joe. He's a fun guy to be around. Lots of cool ideas. Yeah. So, anyway, we'll catch you later, sir. All right. 73. Okay. Well, that pretty much wraps up our formal part of the show tonight. Again, just a couple announcements for you guys. Follow us on Facebook. W5KUB.com on Facebook. We'd really like to have you on our webcast group. Also, help us spread the word about the webcast. And let's see. That's about all I got. So, we're going to do what we call Hangout, the Hangout part, or the Roundtable part. This is a very informal part where people can actually, if they have a camera, they can actually come into the show and be on the webcast. I don't know if Kathy's put the link out there. She's putting the link out to everybody. If you look at the top, of the chat room where it has the topic up there, you'll see the link. If you'll click on that link, that will connect you to our Hangout, and we'll try to bring you in the show. So I'm going to really quick try to log into Hangout here and see if anybody's there. So I'm going to put the cat on here. I'll be right back. Let's see. Okay, here. Let's see if I can find the cat. Here we go. Be right back.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Okay, we're back. Let me turn my camera on. I'm going to see if anybody is wanting to join us tonight. First of all, I got to turn Skype off because it's stealing my camera. So let me do that real quick. Well, it appears that no one else is in the there. Well, we got. Hey, look at there. Hey, I recognize him. We've got Jolty on there. Jolty. Jolty's calling from India. So let me get Jolty in here. Jolty, I don't see your camera, Jolty. What happened? All right, looking for Jolty. Come on, Jolty. While we're waiting on Jolty, let's see who we got. Who else is in here? Anthony's in here. Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Now, do you go by Tony or Anthony?
You can call me Tony. Tony's good.
Tony, okay. How you doing? I forget where you are. You've been on here before.
Oh, I'm down in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. All right, down in Orlando.
Hey, I recognize him.
All right, you might need. Let's see, who is that? You may need to turn the audio down on the webcast. And let's see. Jolty, have you got your camera working? Look at the top. I saw your picture a minute ago. Nothing right now. So Tony, while Jolty is trying to get his camera going, he's down in India. He probably just woke up. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, for him down in India. So he may not be he may not be doing too good with his his PC this morning. Hadn't had his coffee yet.
I know how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, let me check the chat room here. Let's see.
Oh, by the way, Tom.
Yeah.
I tried to email you a copy of my QSL card that you had requested.
Yeah.
And the email kept bouncing back. Well,
tell me the address you used.
It's the one that's linked on your site. It's hold on. Tom@w5kub.com.
That should work, man. It should really work. So I'm not sure why it bounced back. I don't know. Did you click on a link or did you type that in?
I tried both actually.
Okay.
That bounced back as undeliverable.
Well, I tell you, you can send it to me. Let me give you another email. Send it to. This is going to blow your mind. To WA5KUB at gmail.com. So it's W5KUB, but it's got an A in it. It's WA5KUB at gmail.com and send it. And I see Jolty. I think I see Jolty. Let me go back. Jolty, how you doing down here in India this morning? Is your mic working?
Might have to call tech support for him.
Yeah, Jolty got his camera working, but his mic is muted, I think. Jolty, look at the top. Look at the top and see if your mic is muted at the top. And you're right. Tech support should be local there for Jolty.
Have you turned it off and on again?
Yeah, Jolty, if you put your mouse at the very top of Hangout, and you should see a couple things come up, like camera, microphone, and so forth. I think I hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I hear you. So, hey, how are things down in India this morning?
It's getting cooler now. Well, it was really fun to enjoy your show. I missed a bit of Joe's kid talk, and I look forward to get those links to get where those kids are from.
Well, we have the show recorded, so it'll be available tomorrow for you. Hey, what time is it there in India? I'm guessing about maybe 5 in the morning.
Now it's 8 in the morning.
Oh.
It's just right at 8 in the morning. I made myself a cup of tea.
Oh, you're all woke up then. 8 o'clock in the morning. Wow. Okay. I guess you got Tony and my joke right. You were close to tech support up there.
Yeah. Well, it was lovely to hear radio waves antenna. That was really interesting. I enjoyed the show. I don't know whether I got one of their antennas when I visited Huntsville. Was it Huntsville or somewhere in Michigan?
Okay, well, it wasn't Huntsville. I mean, that's down in Alabama. So, did you actually attend a Hamfest up in Michigan or somewhere?
Yes, I've been into Dayton in 2012, and I also visited a Hamfest in Michigan, and I got a prize. A lucky draw or something. I never won anything from your show, but I don't miss it. I enjoy your show and just keep it going.
Well, I tell you, you're going to win one of these days. I guarantee it. Hey, Jill says she has the links for you. I think you were looking for links for all those kits last week.
Yes. I think is it Jill? Jill put some links on the website on your Facebook page. Well, she does a great job. Yeah, but today I think